I've generated over $1 million in sales in my own business. I've helped clients with multi-million-dollar companies. I have never sold or created a perfect product. That I was massively underpaid and undervalued. What was I going to do next? This is not it, but I have no plan B. I was so terrified. Once I bought that ticket, I thought to myself, Taylor, what were you thinking?
There was a girl, she was specifying her hair. Didn't even realize it because she was just doing this.
When I quit my teaching job, my businesses were making about 3 times my teaching salary. So
why so many women get stuck in being perfection trap, and how does it kill the momentum?
This is something I would recommend if you want to grow your network, you want to become more known, you want opportunities like speaking, get more clients, or be on a podcast.
What are your top tips for building a powerful personal brand that gets you seen and also paid?
My favorite question.
Hi, welcome to Confidence Secrets, the podcast where presence meets power. I'm your host, Kate. I am a self-presentation coach who helps ambitious women refine the way they show up on stage, on camera, and everywhere in the world. Today's guest is someone who brings bold vision and powerful presence to every room she enters. Taylor Smith is a business strategist, community builder, and host of the PowerTable Podcast and live conferences. She is a 4-time founder and award-winning entrepreneur who has built and scaled multiple businesses across digital products, education, and live events, all with a focus on freedom-based growth and recurring revenue. What I love the most is that she helps women turn their expertise into profitable, scalable offers without burning out or playing small. And today she's here to share how being seen changed everything. Taylor, welcome to the show. I would love for you to introduce yourself in your own words.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. I'm so excited to be here. I am, like you said, a business and marketing strategist and as well as a keynote speaker. And I help women understand how to use their personal brand, how to stand out online, and how to take what they're already good at and turn that into income and money in their bank account in a way that makes them feel good. So a little bit about me. I have a BA and MA in anthropology. So my only goal in life was to become a professor, become a teacher. And I did that. I became a college professor at 23 years old. I was a published academic. It was really funny because most of my students, you couldn't tell me apart from the students, or some of them were older than me. But it did not take me very long in public education to realize that I was massively underpaid and undervalued. And the job just really, for me, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Very stressful, high stress environment, and the bureaucracy was just really killing my soul, I will say. So then I thought, well, let me switch into corporate education. And so I worked in corporate for a bit. But even that, it still felt like, what was I going to do next? This is not it, but I have no plan B. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I kind of started dabbling in business and entrepreneurship, and I figured out very quickly that I was actually very good at marketing, very good at seeing the big picture for businesses, everything they needed to create, from content to how the offer should work to who their target client was. And I credit a lot of that to my background in human behavioral sciences and understanding people and buyer behavior. And I realized in that point that something no one had ever told me was everything I learned as a teacher was actually highly transferable to entrepreneurship. And it turned out that I didn't really have to give up teaching. I could just do it in a different form. So over the past 6 years, I've grown multiple businesses, and I worked with over 3,000 women in business as my clients, helping them grow and scale and learn how to stand out more with what they believe in and how they actually want to show up in their business.
I loved it. And I also love to go deeper into all of this and to learn all of your tips and tricks. But before we go there, let's learn something more interesting about you. Like, I have a little fire round for you. So no overthinking, just first what comes to your mind. So ready?
Oh, I always am so terrible at these, but let's do it.
Coffee, tea, or matcha?
Oh, coffee. Easy.
Next one. Heels or sneakers?
Heels.
What would you prefer, having a TED Talk or being on a Vogue cover?
Ooh, I'll say TED Talk.
And next one is quite similar, but still, speak from a big stage or lead a private workshop.
Hmm. Speak from stage.
1 million views or 100 loyal clients.
100 loyal clients.
What vibe do you prefer more, Anna Wintour or Michelle Obama?
Michelle Obama?
What would you highlight about her?
Oh, I think she's a really good example of someone who has great presence, quiet confidence when it needs to be quiet,
Mhm.
but also very powerful. And she has built a very strong personal brand.
And the last one, be center of attention or power behind the scenes.
I would say neither. Can I be in the middle?
You can be both. Yeah, of
I would say
course.
both. I'm always someone who likes to help and serve. So I'll be behind the scenes if that's where it's needed, but also give me the microphone. I'm happy to be the center of attention.
Yeah, I also can imagine you in both roles, and I see you are natural to be in here and here because again, you are a speaker, but also you help thousands of women to level up. So I have loved it for you. I have a very loaded question for you. The first one. You already a little bit touched based on your beginning about your career being a professor, but take us back to that time when you didn't have powerful personal brand, but still everyone has a personal brand, even when we think we don't have a personal brand. And then what changed? Was there a specific moment or realization that made you shift, that you knew you became more visible and intentional with how you show up?
That's a very good question. So when I left teaching and I started building businesses, I was making money. I was doing great. I was making at the time when I quit my teaching job, my businesses were making about 3 times my teaching salary. My teaching salary was like $27,000 a year. It was not
Mhm.
good, super low. And so I thought, okay, I can do this. And even though I was getting customers, at the same time, I felt like I was an imposter. I was very worried that I would be a one hit wonder, that at some point the clients would just dry up, and I wouldn't have a business anymore. And I thought, what will I do then? I know no one. Like, I know no other entrepreneurs. I don't have a network. Like, everyone I know is like in teaching. So I don't even know where to start to go from here to continue to grow. Like, I can do a good job in my own business, but nobody knows I exist outside of my customers. And so it really felt like I would watch these famous entrepreneurs online, and I'd listen to their podcasts and I would think, I want to be like them, but they know all of these people. So I believe that because I didn't have a big network, that, I would never be at the level that they were at, that I would never be able to do that. And so I took a big leap of faith. And I think 2022 or 2023, I bought my first conference ticket to like a very big women's business conference. And it was the most money I'd ever spent in one day. I think it was like $1,000 for a ticket. And that was so terrifying. I did it because I heard it announced on a podcast I listened to. And I bought the ticket and I was going to fly to Scottsdale to Arizona. And I was so terrified. Once I bought that ticket, I thought to myself, Taylor, what were you thinking? You're not going to know anyone there. No one knows who you are. That was a waste of money because everyone there is going to already know each other. And then I went, and it turned out some people did know each other, but there were so many other people like me in the room that had actually been in their own bubble, and they didn't have family members that were famous entrepreneurs. They didn't have a lot of business owner friends. And it turned out that I actually put myself in this incredible room with all these incredible entrepreneurs that were also sharing the same goal I was, which was to grow my network and start becoming more known. So I would say that was really the turning point when I just decided, yeah, nobody knows who you are. So let's start taking some action to make that happen.
I love that. And it's often I hear from other women, girls, like, oh, why would I go there? Like, I don't know anyone here there. But that's the point of going to networking events.
Yeah.
That's the point to go into conferences,
Mhm.
to make new connections, to present yourself in the way you want to present yourself, not in your old setting, but in a new setting.
Mhm.
So I love it for you. But tell us a few tips. How did you then present yourself?
Mhm.
How did you show up? What were your networking tips? Let's say maybe you were the first person who approached another person and saying hi, extended a hand for a handshake.
So I actually started before the event. And this is something I would recommend if you feel you want to grow your network, you want to become more known, you want opportunities like speaking, you want to just get more clients or be on a podcast. Definitely put yourself in the right rooms with the right people. But then once you are planning to go to an event, start before the event. What I still do to this day, even though I built a very large community and generally now opportunities just kind of come to me. The work that I put in was I would find other people who were going on social media and I would send them a DM and I'd say, hey, I'm going to this event too. Would you like to get coffee? Like, can we meet up the day before the event or the day after
Mhm.
the event? Or let's just, say hi. I want to make sure I say hello to you in line when we're checking in. So start that process before. That goes a long way to relationships. And then if you struggle with confidence in approaching people, if you've already talked to them on social media, I guarantee you it's going to be a little less scary to talk to them in person. And you can watch their content and get a sense of who they are. That's a great tip. The other tip that I would say is, and this helps with the visibility piece too. When you meet people, you don't have to do it right away, but before you leave the event, take a picture with the people that you connect with. Get that selfie or ask someone to take your picture and then post that on your social media. So your Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever you're posting, post that and tag them. That is the great start to building a relationship with someone. Or you can send it to them in a DM and say, hey, I really enjoyed meeting you. Here's the picture we took. What events are you going to next? Or I would love to listen to your podcast. Could you send me the link? Just kind of know that when you put yourself in that kind of situation to become more visible and get known and start making more connections, know that it's not a one time thing. You have to put in the time if you want to be seen to start to build those relationships long term.
Agree with you. Thanks for sharing that. And I find those tips very practical. So I want to emphasize on this to our listeners. Please take this into account and practice next time when you go before the event you go.
You mentioned how do you want to show up? This is something I thought about back then on day one, and I still think about that too. Is like, who is the audience in the room, and how do I want to introduce myself to them? So I personally own multiple businesses. It Not all of those businesses are going to be relevant to everyone I meet. So you need to think about, and you might have multiple offers in your business. So you might want to think about, what is my goal in meeting certain people? What is my ask? What kind of connections do I want to make? And like, how do I want to show up? So is this the year you want to speak on stages? So then you want to make sure in every conversation that you mention that's your goal and that's what you're working on. Or if you are, let's say you're a business owner and you want to start selling more of your courses and memberships and not as much one-to-one service. In that case, make sure that that's how you introduce yourself and you say, I have online courses. Don't tell them about your one-to-one services if you don't want to sell that. So getting clear on, how do you want to be known? What conversations do you want to come out of it? And then practice. Something I do when I go to local events too is I'll spend the drive to the event rehearsing in my car while I drive. So that's another very practical tip. If you want to start pitching yourself and getting more opportunities, practice what you're going to say and plan out what you want to get out of the event.
Be more intentional.
Mhm.
So I saw that you have this line, or let's say a message you're going everywhere with. Being known matters more than being perfect, right? And it really stands out. Why do you think so many women get stuck in being perfection trap? And how does it kill the momentum to grow?
We have been, as women, conditioned our entire lives that everything about our appearance, our presence matters to the point where if we make a mistake, something bad happens, right? We're told, if you wear the wrong thing, that could be the reason why something bad happens. If you aren't, doing working 10 times harder than the men in your office, then you are not going to be successful. And so for women, a lot of the time, like even from our childhood, we were told things like sit still and look pretty. Make sure that, you're doing 110% of effort all of the time in order to earn this. And of course, there's like a history and a reason behind that. But what that's done is we are convinced that's what we need to find success. And I don't think that that's true. Certainly, there are experiences and situations where you should practice, you should give something your best, you want to do a great job. But in my personal experience, I've generated over $1 million in sales in my own business. I've helped clients with multi-million-dollar companies. And I can tell you, I have never sold or created a perfect product. I host a conference for almost 100 women, and it wasn't perfect, right? I've built a social media following of over 19,000 women in business, and I've made so many bad videos. So, my own experience, perfectionism wasn't a requirement for success. Being perfect is not a qualification for success or growth in your business or opportunities. But what is being known and sharing your message and showing up consistently.
Such a powerful message. And I also wanted to share something you just shared about women waiting for to fit like 100% of criteria. Recently, I was speaking at one panel, and there was a girl from the audience. She had a question how to show up more confident on the interview for a job, but still be humble. We're like, why do you want to be humble? Men apply for a job when they fit, I don't know, like 50% of criteria, when women are waiting to fit like 150% of the job description. So don't be humble, don't be perfect, just go for it. Just record that video, just post that story, just pitch that collaboration, I don't know, launch that course in the way you have it right now, and then learn from, I don't know, mistakes, or you will see where you want to make better next time. Next time you will take maybe a little more time or a little more preparation, but don't wait to have like a perfect lighting, a perfect technical setup, a perfect words, or like all this stuff, or perfect outfit. So speaking about you, what helped you to stop being obsessed with this, getting it right, and actually showing up? So you already told us that you realized you don't need to be perfect, but how did you do that? Any mindset shift tricks, or maybe some practical advice you can give us on reflection, self-awareness, self-acceptance, so you stop being obsessed with, I have to do this perfect?
Yeah. So I think that perfectionism is ultimately just a form of self doubt, right? It's the opposite of confidence. If you look at a confident person, you're not going to see anything where they're not going to be obsessed with perfectionism. And so we need to strengthen that confidence muscle. We need to practice. And then also, something that's been helpful for me from a business point of view, and I'll just say personally as well, but notice what got you what content did people give you comments on? And then go look and say, oh, was my hair a mess in that video? Did I stutter? Did I ramble on my Instagram stories? And notice your imperfections are probably in the content that led you to getting sales, and embrace that. Turn up the dial on that. And of course, you want to do a good job and practice and improve. And there are things when it comes to presence, right? You probably coach on a lot of things like, your posture and pausing when you speak and, paying attention to your face and your body presence. And all of that matters. And you have to give yourself some grace and forgiveness and notice that you're still making progress in imperfection. So notice, hey, that reel got me a customer or got me a potential opportunity. I was invited to speak somewhere. And in that reel, I was kind of a mess, right? Like I've posted reels where I was just talking about events while I cleaned my office. And that turned into more clients. And it's so like I look back and I'm like, that's cringy. I can't believe I posted that. But it's because it was relatable to people. They got to see the real me. They got to see some behind the scenes. And perfectionism just, it doesn't have a place in showing up and helping people and doing the best that you can at any current point in your life.
I am sure that a lot of women who are listening us right now, they are already confident, but they are not fully visible somewhere. I also
Mm.
work with ambitious women, and I see that they are already confident that they know their business, they know their expertise, they know their industry. But sometimes they lack a little polishing, to really stand out.
Mhm.
So, in your opinion, can give us some examples from your content or from your clients? What creates that magnetic presence that makes people stop scrolling and actually connect? You already mentioned content where you can relate to, maybe some
Mhm.
behind the scenes content, but maybe you can give us more examples on here. So, what you feel it is, what makes us stop scrolling?
So there's a couple of things. And one of them is kind of what we might call like turn off the I care what people think button. Turn off that switch. The most magnetic content, the people that everyone seems to be magnetized to, the people who have like the star power, it's because they just show up in a way that like is like, I don't care what people think. I'm just going to be me. And this is what I see a lot of successful women holding back from. And I did this for a very long time. I stayed in my teacher mode. I kind of hid behind the knowledge that I have. I hid behind my expertise in business and marketing. And I never like turned up the dial on Taylor. Who is Taylor? Right. And instead, I was just like, hey, I can help you with a really great launch. I can tell you what you need to do in your personal brand. But when I started sharing more of my thought leadership content, what I actually think, what's important to me, what I disagree with, and I got a little spicy with it, a little more opinionated, and I balanced that out with like, hey, I really care about my community. Here are some things that I want to, that I care about that I will support you in. Those things kind of come together. So I would encourage you to think about when it comes to being magnetic, what do you disagree with in your industry that is like so unique to you that you would be willing to be a little spicy and tell people, do not waste your time on that. Start pulling out those bits, right? And that's going to help you become a little bit more magnetic. And then the other thing genuinely is like presence and practice. So I personally have worked with speaking and presence coaches. I encourage people to work with people like you, Kate, because this can help you just like you would have a business coach or you would have someone look at your social media. You would hire someone, a CPA or bookkeeper or a tax strategist to help you with your money. People who are coaches in those specific types of areas, they can see what you can't see. And so working with someone on your presence and your voice and your body and how you want to show up can help you see what you don't see. And I've had to correct things like when I started speaking on stages, I paced a lot. and
Yeah,
I would, and I, when I pulled back the layers and I was talking to my coach about it, I realized it was a habit from when I was in the
yeah.
classroom. And so as a teacher, I had been trained constantly survey the classroom, walk the floor to check for phones, to check for safety, to check for people paying attention. And the more you move, the more your students will pay attention to you. And so I would get on stage and just pace back and forth the whole time. And then I'd wonder why I had blisters and why my feet hurt in the heels. But, you need other people sometimes to see those things. And if you want to be magnetic, part of it is you deciding to show up like you, to show up without worrying what other people think. And part of it is you need to practice the body composition, the presence, the voice. Like you have to learn that. It's a skill. And so if you struggle with it, don't feel bad about that. It is something like if you see people you admire who do it really well, know that they learned it, like they were trained on how to do it.
Yeah, totally agree. Fully support your message that you need someone who will observe you from the side. Like for your conference, I gave an example that there was a girl, she was like, pacifying her hair always. And like she didn't even realize it because she was
Yep.
like just doing this. And she was speaking, but still, it's a little bit distracting. Some people are like constantly fidgeting and, as you mentioned, pacing or rocking on stage
Mhm.
or rocking one leg. It's also a little bit distracting. So there are so many things that you might not even think about, but they might be those habits that take away from your presence.
Mhm.
And what we want here that you lead any room you enter. Speaking about big rooms you enter, you obviously have a lot of high stakes moments, whether online, offline, especially speaking on stage. Do you have any go-to rituals or habits that keeps you centered before you go to be seen?
Yes. So I like to go into speaking as prepared as I can be. So I practice my speeches a lot. I'm not someone who likes to go on stage and wing it. I don't think that that is the best value and the best service I can provide to people. So I want to be someone who is prepared on stage. So in my preparation, I practice reading through my speeches out loud. This is very important. I think it really helps get nerves out. It also helps you just memorize. I also, not a lot of people want to do this, but I say my speeches or I'll read them on my phone while I walk the neighborhood. And I look like a crazy person talking to myself. But it is good because that movement then gives your body something to do while your brain focuses on
Mm,
speaking. And then during the actual event or in the few minutes before, if I have a green room or a lobby I can stand in, something that I have been doing for about the past 6 to 7 months has been really helpful. It's just a little bit of breath work, just like taking some deep breaths, taking a minute to just sit in silence, not looking at my phone. I try not to check my emails or messages in the few hours before I go on stage, or at least the few minutes. I don't want to get distracted. I really want to just kind of do some deep breaths and focus and really try to put myself into a state of calmness and not a state of distraction or feeling stressed out.
power of preparation. So many people underestimate how important it is to be prepared. So thanks for saying that out loud one more time here because I also stand for it and I encourage people to be prepared because when you are prepared, you can improvise things. You are ready for things which happen unplanned and many things always happen unplanned. So more you are prepared for any situations which can occur. We already talked a little bit about heels or sneakers choice, but anything else about your outfit choice or a makeup
Yeah.
choice or a hair choice or little things that we might not think or people who are not speaking so much on stage, maybe they have not even realized that something is really important.
I This is something that I have learned is important. It's not something that I thought about a lot until, the past couple of years. So I enjoyed this conversation. One thing, if you're in person is have backups for shoes and clothes. At my own conference, my annual business conference in April, I had 3 outfits that were all professionally styled and they looked great. And I had tried on one of the pairs of shoes at home and they seemed to be fine, but they had like lace up ties. And then I got to the event and they would not stay up. Like the strings kept falling down. And so I had to change into a different pair of shoes. And I'm happy that I had shoes. So I will say, like, have a backup. And then if you're virtual or showing up on social media, a personal brand tip, as much as a presentation tip, is pick a few outfits that can be your social media clothes. You don't need to have a whole wardrobe. You don't need to constantly change your clothes for social media. Just pick a few outfits that look nice, that look like they are on brand, that complement your brand colors. And it actually works to your benefit with social media if you use the same clothes again and again. People think they have to constantly show up in something new so people don't see them re-wearing clothes. But what it actually does when you show up in the same pink blazer every time, or you have 3 or 4 similar, white button ups or whatever your brand is, and maybe it's yoga clothes. That's okay too if that's your brand. When you show up in the same things again and again, it actually makes you more recognizable. It makes you easier for you to stay visible and for people to consume more of your content because there's something small, this little psychological trigger in their brain that says, oh, I know her. I'm going to watch her content. Her last piece of content was really good.
I love that. This is something I also had to learn recently. This really works. Finally, for the women who are already ready to step into the spotlight, what are your top tips for building a powerful personal brand that gets you seen and also paid?
My favorite question. The first thing when it comes to being seen, if you have a small audience or you're an expert in your field, but you're really kind of new to this personal brand space, I would leverage collaborations. Use other people's audiences and build more relationships to help get you seen. So you should make content, you should put yourself out there online, but know that one of the best ways that you can be seen and get high quality clients that are ideal for you, would be to leverage the audiences of other people who serve the same person that you do. So, for example, Kate and I are doing that right now. She helps with presence and speaking and confidence, and I work in personal branding. We're serving the same client, the same professional women, entrepreneurial women who want to and grow their businesses, grow their careers, and achieve success. So, find other people with the same audience and do Instagram lives, go on podcasts with each other. You can make sure that you're going to networking events where those people are. And that's going to help you with the visibility piece. And you can do that no matter whether you have 100 followers or 100,000 followers online. And the second one is show your face on social media. We are at a point where consumers want to be careful with the money they spend, and they want to make sure that they can trust the person they're buying from and that there's a real human behind the brand. So I know that video is hard. It's not comfortable, but you can practice and you can become more confident with some of the tips that we've talked about. And I'm sure there are many other tips and tools that Kate has to share. But at the end of the day, know that it's going to be hard for you to grow your personal brand if you're not willing to put your face on video and talk to people and share that thought leadership. And then the third one that helps more on the paid side than the seen side is that people love to work with winners. And I say that not to say you have to be the most successful in your niche or make the most money or be the most experienced, but if you want people to pay you, you have to show them that you're capable of helping them achieve their goals. So share your client wins, talk about your own wins, take even the smallest thing, and you should be sharing that like it is the greatest thing in the world. So every client's breakthrough, your own success, your own features, anything that you have that can be considered a win or progress towards your goals, If you share that, it will help you get more clients and help get you paid.
Very powerful tips. And yeah, of course, as you mentioned, I can help you with your camera presence. This is exactly the topic I was covering for Taylor's upcoming conference. So, for our listeners who want to keep learning from you, where is the best place to find you, follow your work, and of course, tell us about your next event?
Yes. So Kate is one of our lineup of over 40 speakers for our virtual summit. It's called Standout and Sellout. It's happening July 23rd to 25th, all online. So I want you to think of it as an incredible conference for personal brand and business. Only you don't have to get on a plane. You can watch it from your house, stay inside in the air conditioning because it's summer and I'm from Florida. It's very hot here. In the summit, we're covering everything from PR, video confidence, pitching yourself, refining your messaging and your marketing to personal brand, and a little bit of everything in between. We talk about certain social media platforms, like we have experts specifically talking about LinkedIn, for example. We have experts talking about different types of offers as well, what it means to have a low ticket offer, which is, for example, a $27 digital product, to a service that you coach people on for thousands of dollars. So we've really covered all of these areas about how to position yourself and your brand in a way where you stop playing small. And I'm very, very excited about the summit. So I'm sure you're going to be able to grab your free ticket. In case I did not say, it is free for you to attend in the show notes, but it's standoutandsellout.com. And then if you'd like to connect with me, my podcast is called the PowerTable Podcast. You can also find us on Instagram at thepowertable.co. And then if you want to follow me personally and see some of the stuff behind the scenes that I do, that on Instagram and LinkedIn and my website, it is all Taylor Smith Online.
Thanks a lot. I will leave all those links below in the description. So please make sure you follow Taylor, her podcast, and join the conference in July. I'm sure that it will be so powerful and packed with practical tips and valuable knowledge which you can apply and become more visible and, of course, be paid for your expertise. Thanks a lot, Taylor, and thanks everyone listening. I really enjoyed this conversation. So please don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more powerful conversations. I'll see you in the next episode of Confidence Secrets.